All right, today we are jumping into one of the most legendary, most epic business faceplants of all time. Seriously, it's a story about a massive giant, a tiny newcomer, and one single fateful decision that didn't just tank a company, it literally changed the way we all watch movies forever.
Just let that sink in for a second. Back in the year 2000, Blockbuster, the undisputed king of home video, was offered the chance to buy a little startup called Netflix. The price? Just $50 million. And they said no. In fact, the story goes they basically laughed him out of the room.
So that's the real billion-dollar question we're digging into today, isn't it? How could a company at the absolute top of its game make a mistake that catastrophic? Well, to really understand the fall, you first have to understand just how big the empire was. So let's set the scene. Before we had streaming, before on-demand was even a thing, your Friday night plans probably involved a trip to that big blue and yellow store. Blockbuster wasn't just a company, it was a cultural icon, a true business titan. I mean, at their peak, they had over 9,000 stores all over the world. The model seemed so simple. You go in, you rent a movie, you bring it back. Easy, right? But the real secret sauce, or maybe the real poison, of their whole business model was hidden in what happened when you didn't bring it back on time. And this is where it gets really interesting, when you put the two models side by side. You see Blockbuster on one side, built on physical stores and charging you for every single rental. And a huge piece of their profit, get this, something like 16% of their revenue came from late fees. Then you have Netflix coming in with this totally wild idea. We'll mail you DVDs, you pay one flat fee a month, and here's the killer feature. No late fees. Ever. They went right for the jugular, the most profitable and honestly, the most hated part of Blockbuster's business.
And all of this brings us right back to that meeting room in the year 2000. See, Blockbuster wasn't just looking at a tiny competitor, they were staring at a fundamental choice about their own future.
So look, they were at a fork in the road, right? Path 1, adapt, buy Netflix, embrace this new subscription thing, and get ready for a digital world. Path 2, protect. Protect the cash cow, defend the thousands of stores and that river of money flowing in from all those annoying late fees.
They chose to protect. They doubled down on the thing that was already working, thinking their physical empire was this impenetrable fortress. But you know, this decision wasn't just a simple mistake. It was a symptom of some really deep, really fatal flaws in their thinking.
So why? Why on earth did they make that choice? Well, it wasn't just one bad day at the office. We can actually break their entire failure down into 3 fatal flaws, and these are mistakes that any business, even today, can learn a ton from.
Okay, here are the 3 culprits. First, they were completely biased towards the money they were already making. Second, they just failed to see where technology was really going. And third, they were just too big and clunky to change course. Let's break each of these down.
First up is this idea of revenue dependency bias. Think of it like this. Blockbuster was basically addicted to late fees. The idea of getting rid of them, like Netflix did, was terrifying. It would have meant giving up a huge, predictable chunk of their profit. They were more afraid of losing that money in the short term than they were excited about winning in the long term.
The second flaw? They completely, totally underestimated the digital shift. The leadership at Blockbuster looked at the internet, looked at this idea of streaming, and they didn't see the future of media. They saw a weird little hobby for tech geeks. They didn't see a tidal wave coming to reshape the entire landscape. They just saw a little puddle.
And finally, there's operational inertia. And this right here is the great paradox of success. Blockbuster's biggest strength, all those thousands of stores on every corner, it became their fatal weakness. All that real estate, all those employees, it made them slow. It made them inflexible. They were like a giant aircraft carrier trying to make the sharp turn of a speedboat. And Netflix, well, they were that speedboat, just zipping right past them. So with these massive flaws just baked right into their strategy, the ending to this story was pretty much inevitable. And the collapse, it wasn't a slow decline, it was like falling off a cliff.
I mean, just look at how fast this all went down. 1997, Netflix is born. Just 3 years later, Blockbuster makes that terrible decision. Then in 2007, Netflix drops the streaming bomb, basically making their own DVD service look old. And just 3 years after that, it's over. 2010, Blockbuster files for bankruptcy. A single decade. That's all it took to go from being the king of the world to being a history lesson.
So what's the big lesson here? What can we all take away from this incredible corporate collapse? Well, it really all boils down to one simple, powerful idea. And this is it. This is the core principle. At the end of the day, Netflix won because it was just easier. No more driving to the store. No more discovering the movie you wanted was already checked out. And most importantly, no more getting punished with a fee for being a day late. They removed all the annoying stuff, all the friction, from the experience. And when you make life that much easier for your customers, you're gonna win.
Which brings us to the ultimate cautionary tale from all of this. Clinging to the thing that makes you money today can completely blind you to what you need to do to survive tomorrow. Blockbuster protected its late fee revenue so fiercely, so desperately, that it ended up destroying the entire company.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. No matter what industry you're in, tech, retail, finance, anything, what's the outdated, inconvenient, but really profitable practice that everyone is still protecting? What is the late fee of today? And who out there is the next Netflix, quietly building a better way? Thanks for watching.